Hello, everyone. If you are watching this VOD, you will soon have no audio from me because I am abusing the VOD track for our special guest, Weatherton. So if you're listening to this VOD on Twitch, I'm so sorry you won't have audio for the rest of the stream. Please check my YouTube channel later on once I get this video edited, and you'll be able to hear the audio on that instead. Muting out myself. Everyone who's checking in live will not have that problem. Let's just see who is tuned in. Probably nobody just yet. Looks like I am live on YouTube. I can take a quick sneak peek over here. We haven't really started in earnest. Let's take a quick peek and make sure that everything actually is like it's supposed to be. Yep, you're happy there. And Twitch says unstable. That's interesting. There we go. Now it says excellent. Perfect. Mute that. All right. Perfect. Yeah. All right. Now I just got to wait for the go live notifications to go out. Hey, we've got a couple of folks over on the YouTube side. Buildmaster stopped in. Softest Cat. Good to see you. Just waiting for Twitch to catch up. YouTube was faster than Twitch this time.
You were criticizing YouTube earlier, and
I know, right?
I don't know.
Right? That's how it goes. All right, we're gonna give just a couple of minutes. Normally, I have a countdown, but I wanted to get started relatively quickly on here. I just want to make sure that YouTube is actually, that Twitch is actually up. So as soon as there's someone on the Twitch side, just say something in chat, and we'll call it good. I think in particular we're waiting for Discord to wake up, though. Liking this music, by the way. It's I can have you listen to it if you'd like, but hey, I've got folks over on the Twitch side. Thank you so much,
Say something.
Okay. So we are now live and in for a treat. I gotta be really careful and make sure that I don't hover there though. Nah, we're gonna make sure of that. Let's do this. There's got to be a better way to do Discord. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm gonna put this all the way up here so I don't accidentally click on that.
Probably a separate device, like an iPad or something.
Right? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. All right, I got it. Yeah, it's funny because if there's even a single gap in my window, like right here, as I mouse over, you can see on the view as I mouse over it, just barely, because there was a 1 pixel gap between windows and the window in the background that is showing that is all of what's coming from Discord got picked up by the mouse and did the hover over. Okay, I think I have covered my entire screen. Yes. Nope. No, I found 1 small pixel. I found a tiny pixel that I can still trigger.
It sounds like we're passing your layout. There's a pixel.
I found 1 pixel that was wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Test failed successfully. Yeah, you're exactly correct about that, Django. Okay. Yeah, TASBot is also still my favorite robot, even though there is an AI tech boom. Now, the one thing, though, is that it is not artificial intelligence, but that's okay. All right. I'm going to get started on the actual purpose of this stream, which is going to meander all over the place. Can I get someone in chat, anyone in chat, just to keep a quick timeline of when we're talking about different things? Checking my audio is right. My mic is separated. Okay, this is going to be fun, guys. So for you that are watching live, I'm recording this with Weatherton, who is the author of the first Nintendo 64 tool-assisted speedrun we did at a charity event, namely AGDQ 2014, which you see there on the screen. I have a recording setup that is pretty overworked. It's pretty overcomplicated is maybe the better way of phrasing it. As Weatherton can definitely attest. But before I start the actual interview part, here's what's going on. I have this layout that you're seeing here. This is the live layout that has everything on the screen at the same time. I've got TASBot over here. He's right there. I have, by the way, that camera that's pointed at TASBot's eyes. This one that's right there. That camera is from 1999. It's a Canon GL1 going going through an analog capture. It's it's pretty ridiculous. The one next to it is a GoPro, but I had to fill up the space somehow. The audio you're listening to is going through a Super Nintendo. So all of the audio that you are hearing on stream is going through controller port button presses by TASBot. So TASBot is doing something on the stream, even though we aren't necessarily doing a normal TASBot stream. I have my window right here. I have that separately recorded. The window below me, right there with Weatherton in it, that's separately recorded. And this window right over here, this is also separately recorded. So I have all three of these videos on top of the full stream with multi-channel audio. So it's a little bit complicated, but it only took me 45 minutes to get set up. Right? Anyway, so I'm going to do a couple of sync claps just to make sure that nothing has deviated, and then I will introduce our interview guest properly for what we're recording, just making sure that I've got my microphone where I want it. Yeah, that'll do. And I've got to make sure I don't hop around. So one of the things that I find I do is I end up I'm over here, and then I'm over here. My audio is not all that consistent. All right. And we have some interesting music for Bald Monkey at Barbary Coast is the music we're listening to. All right. Media Magnet, it maybe is a record. I think this might be a new record for the number of individual sources. Okay, we're in for a treat today. I'm going to start the actual interview segment now. It's good enough.
Looked like a slow clap.
It was a slow clap, right?
Like that's impressive. Impressive.
And I'll stop. I look like I look ridiculous. Okay. that should be enough for my video editor. Alrighty then. And the other thing we're going to have to make sure of is that I give you enough of a pause before you answer. Otherwise, we end up getting your microphone feedback looped, but it won't be too bad. All right, here goes. Hello, everyone. I'm here with Weatherton, who was the author of the very first tool-assisted speedrun ever shown under the TASBot banner at a Games Done Quick event, all the way back 10 years ago at Awesome Games Done Quick 2014. Weatherton, thank you so much for joining me for this interview today. I really appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Okay, I have a couple of quick questions. What led you to make a tool-assisted speedrun of, I guess, Mario Kart 64 in general?
Yeah, a good question. I guess it goes back to maybe how I even heard about tool-assisted speedrunning at all. And I was thinking about that, and I'm pretty confident. I know I saw a Morimoto Super Mario Brothers video, and it was just this impossibly good at the time play of playing. Somebody was playing Super Mario Brothers, and it's like that. There's something not quite right here. It's not how somebody could play Mario Brothers at the time, and so you had to learn more about it. And again, I saw that video. I think I saw it on eBomb's World, which was like pre-YouTube, the way that people saw memes, basically, like short video clips that were funny.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I don't know where. I found an 11 megabyte file from Morimoto's Super Mario Bros. With two S's Time Attack. Super Mario Bros. 3 Time Attack. I still have the original WMV file. I found it.
I don't know if maybe I did. Maybe I still have. So I do have some of those things squirreled away. But yeah, it was definitely a Morimoto video that it was just like, what is this? So it led me to start searching for what it was. And I remember I found the TAS Videos website, but with BizQuit, in charge at that point. I don't know what the URL was. It wasn't tasvideos.org. It was something strange.
At that time, it was nesvideos.org.
Okay. So specifically NES videos, because maybe that was the only thing with tools. But, then you go down the rabbit hole of, man, okay, how many different videos are there? How are they doing this? I literally, I think as many people do, I couldn't understand what is a tool-assisted speedrun. I had played on emulator and I used save states. I knew what those were, but how are you recording this? Are you video editing it back? And how does it work? And so I wanted to know more. So I kept kind of researching it on that website, trying some things on my own. And finally, I actually made the first tool assisted speedrun I made. I posted about it on the website on Task Videos forum, and it was Outrun for the Sega Genesis. It's a pretty random choice. So it was a racing game, I guess. So in fact, my 3 tasks that I've submitted and gotten published are all racing games. I guess you definitely want to go quick in a racing game, right? There's no question about what the objective is. So yeah, Outrun, I posted some works in progress. I specifically remember that I still didn't know what I was doing, and I did an entire first run through the game, and I didn't properly save the file and basically lost it all. It was like I could watch it back from save states, but I couldn't watch it back from the beginning. It was I remember being confused about it. And honestly, the tools weren't as good back then either, so you could do things like that, maybe with just doing the wrong sequence. But I got frustrated by that, but I still started over. I got better. I improved. I got feedback from people on the forum, which it's a very collaborative environment, or it's a collaborative community, I should say, of people. People want to help each other. You get feedback, you get tips, you get maybe changes made to the emulator if coders are willing to do that, and you submit a change request. It's just, I found it a very nice place to be a part of. So I got Outrun working, and I got it actually it didn't get published. I remember at the time it had to be entertaining. Like, people had to find it, okay, this is actually fun to watch, not just fast. And people didn't find Outrun fun to watch. I don't know, I did.
I'm with
maybe
you.
the glitch I was using, if you go off-road and press A, B, A, B, A, B every other frame, you can drive without losing speed, and it kind of makes this horrible grating noise for the entire run. So that might have been it. On reflection. And that tip, by the way, I didn't know about that glitch until I posted a work in progress, and we call it a whip. Somebody said, oh, why aren't you using this cheat, or this glitch, I should say. Difference between a glitch and a cheat. Yeah, so that was kind of how I got into the community, got to understand what tool-assisted speedrunning was, and just got to be, a fan. Right? I wanted to see what was going on, so I'd keep track of the newly posted runs, and was in there watching things. You asked specifically about Mario Kart, and Mario Kart was a game I had been speedrunning since it came out. I didn't even know what speedrunning was. I didn't even compare with other people necessarily, but the time trials mode in that game, Mario Kart 64, I just love trying to beat my own times. And eventually you are curious, and hey, how good are my times? Does anybody else out there have times? And I searched online, and actually, you know what? I was told by one of my classmates, hey, check out, I found this. He was running Mario Kart 64 as well, RTA, real-time attack, and of course we didn't call it that at the time, but he found this thing, and it was also, it's now MarioKart64.com. Back then it was some ridiculous, I don't even have any clue what the URL was, but found that, became a member of that, very welcoming set of people there as well. So this is, I think, consistently how people get into the speedrunning and tool-assisted speedrunning communities is people are wanting people to join, right? They're wanting additional competition, additional perspectives on strategies, additional ideas, new people to talk to. And the time I'm talking about here is, this is back when you would use AOL Instant Messenger, I guess IRC. I didn't really like that IRC very much, but
Yeah, I never saw you on IRC.
yeah, I'm glad Discord has kind of unseated that now. I didn't. Yeah, I was in there occasionally on the task IRC, mainly if I needed help with something that was going to be hard to figure out over PMs, private messages. So yeah, I got really into the Mario Kart 64 community. Again, Kevin Booth, I don't know if I mentioned his name, but he was the one sort of, in a way, managing that site at the time, and he's very welcoming, very friendly. very helpful. Got to know a bunch of folks there. And I knew what the shortcuts were crazy in that game back then, even. And it was just really fun to see how broken that game was. So I wanted to apply tool-assisted speedrunning to that game. Okay, what can you do? What would it be like if you had tools to try to do crazy stuff? And at the time, I had a friend, Martin McMullen, who was interested in the same thing, and there was no movie recording capability on an N64 emulator. We had Project 64. I don't even know if we had Mupin yet. If we had Mupin, it didn't have any. There was no reason to use it because it didn't have movie playback. So we literally, at that point, even though I knew how tool-assisted speedruns actually worked, we did save state, and you're recording your screen, and then editing it together later to show this is what it would have looked like if we'd gotten this in one try. And whatever we were using to record our screen had that little label on the bottom that says this is the free whatever player.
Unregistered hypercam.
It was unregistered hypercam 2, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. I had so many videos of that era. Unregistered hypercam 2.
Yes, I mean, you had nothing built into Windows. We didn't have OBS or any of this stuff. And who else needs to... there was something called Fraps, I think, but that was expensive. It cost money. And anyway, so we used that. And Martin and I were like jumping Toad off of Bowser. And look, I jumped across the entire level, that kind of stuff. Or I did a big shortcut on Rail Raceway. Nothing... No, like, oh, this is really a new shortcut. It's more just, oh, bounce and look, I went high. I can use this. But we would send things back and forth on AOL Instant Messenger, right? So, like, I'll share a directory with him, he'd share one with me, send it back and forth. And then, I don't know when, but at some point, there was the addition of the movie recording capability in Mupin. And I don't think I was early to that game, but eventually it was like, oh, I should probably learn that emulator so I can do this correctly. And I did switch over. And you can go to the forums. There's chats way back about, planning out what levels are going to have what sort of strategies. And Comical Flop, I remember at the time, was starting some things. I kind of worked with him a little bit. And then ultimately I just kind of I jumped in and made a test run of the Special Cup. I can't remember what cup did we show here at AGDQ 2014?
Well, do you want to perhaps pivot to doing a live take of what we did?
Sure. Yeah, and it is Special Cup because you were just scrubbing through it, I'm remembering.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's just preface it that Special Cup is unique in that if you just beat Special Cup, the credits roll. So that's why that was the first one I did, was let me do Special Cup. It's any percent run, and I'll try to submit it to the website. And I don't know when that was. I think that was definitely before 2014. I think it was like 2007 or something. It was well before. And I submitted it, and that did not get accepted either. If you're sensing a theme, my early things were not getting accepted on the website, and there's high standards. And there's good reason for whether things were accepted or not. But it was still entertaining. And so here, okay, 2014. Why was I even there? That was maybe a good... So I didn't go to AGDQ 2014 because of the TASBot thing. I actually didn't know that... I didn't know there was a TASBot section. I had one of the friends I'd met in person and online with the Mario Kart 64 community is Mark Jones. DNT, whatever his screen name is, I don't remember the numbers at the end. But anyway, he actually ran Mario Kart 64 RTA at this particular AGDQ, and this just happened to be really close to my where I live, and so Mark stayed with me, asked me to commentate on his run, and got the opportunity to do that. And I don't know who reached out first or how we found out, but I was looking through my direct messages here, my private messages, and there's a message from Micro on January 5th
of what year?
just of 2014.
Oh, wow.
So it was 5 a.m. January 5th, 2014. AGDQ question mark? And he's like, did I hear that you're at AGDQ? I'm here. I'll just read this because it's like 2 sentences. I'd like to try to sync one of your Mario Kart 64 runs, if possible. But I couldn't seem to find them on the forums after a quick search. Let me know if you have them. Let me know if you're here. I'm hanging out around the ROB. So,
oh, yeah, because he was just calling it ROB instead of TASBot at the time. It wasn't exactly known.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's the first, maybe there was another message, but I was like, oh, okay, there's TAS people at this same thing I'm going to already. So yeah, and I had the videos. They weren't really on the site because they weren't accepted, or maybe Micro didn't know where to look. Maybe I hadn't submitted them yet. I'm pretty sure I had submitted them though. But Special Cup, I had 2 other cups, I think, and we showed at least one of them there. But I even, sorry, I was looking through my closet and I found.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
You have one of the original replay devices. That is actually what is the name on the back of that say?
It says N64 bot, and it says Micro's name, and then December 2013.
Micro 500. That was the first single board four controller port replay device.
Well, and the fact that I'll jumping ahead slightly here, but we'll probably do another AGDQ commentary on some of the other later years. But the fact that it had 4 controller ports on it led me to want to use them, and that's where the Choco Mountain Death Race or whatever we called it.
Yeah.
Concept came around, but yeah, that's for a different year.
I think that was AGDQ 2015. It was a year later, unless I'm mistaken.
I'll take your word. Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but yeah, it was fun.
That was definitely something.
That's the one time I actually played a game on AGDQ stream. Undeserving of that. Typically, my gaming capabilities are not that good. Certainly, yeah, not to that level, but hey, I had an excuse to be on there playing.
And those were the early years when we were still trying to figure everything out. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look at so we had an actual couch here that looks to have been drug in from, who knows where.
Yeah.
I'm saying we, but like I didn't drag that couch in. I wasn't involved obviously in setting up AGDQ, but it was a smaller venue. Like, look, you could kind of see everybody's face on the stream here. I remember what that room felt like. It was stuffed with people.
Yeah.
Especially during the later Metroid run. There was a 4-player or maybe 3-player. There was a competitive race that room was. I'm sure the fire marshal would not have been pleased.
No,
we were just jammed in there.
You can even see.
This is pretty full too.
Yeah, you can see there's people just standing in the back, and yeah, it was not a big enough venue for how many people were there. Oh no. Oh, sorry.
Right, and that was the only time I think that they used that particular venue, the Crown Plaza. I think.
Yeah, it was the only time we were
because we outgrew it right away.
Yeah. Instantly.
Yeah, but it was. You know what? It was. There's something special about that. It might have been even more special years prior, but that particular size where you could just feel the energy. Everybody was excited to be there, and like practice rooms were full of people showing stuff off, and it was very cozy, I guess.
Yeah, right? Okay, so I think it's time to watch your tool assisted speedruns, and it's interesting because I had the same thing. There are things in this run that I forgot happened. I didn't even remember happening. So feel free to talk right over the top of your old self. You're on a separate mic, so it's okay.
Okay.
I will give you that audio, and here let's see if we found the beginning of it. I think I more or less found the beginning. Yeah, right around here. Okay, and.
Yeah.
You should be able to hear yourself.
Yeah. Well, I only just found out last night that it works, so we decided.
That's Micro 500 speaking right there.
Drew Weatherton is actually the one that made the run, but it's from like 6 years ago, so it's kind of suboptimal. But 7 years, yeah. But the glitches are fun to watch, so we threw it in, and hope you enjoy it.
The reaction we got in the practice room was
everyone seemed to like
intense,
it. So.
We just had to put it in.
Yeah, the fact that it synced right away, I mean,
I can talk a little bit about why
it played back on the stream first try. I mean, I was expecting it not to.
Right.
but that's a testament to the
better played.
that initial bot that
this
Micro
is
made.
a special cup run on the 150cc difficulty level. You'll see Mark Jones on Wednesday playing through all the cups at this difficulty level.
That's right. So Mark Jones was not happy,
but not all of them,
about the fact that he's like, okay, I'm running this game, and you're showing a task of the game before I even run it. He's like, you're showing me up.
Finish line glitch here that I'm going to go.
By the way, I want to point out that this finish line glitch was the first time that they saw something actually interesting out of a tool-assisted speedrun at AGDQ, because Gradius had completely desynced.
Tracks.
Oh yeah.
Freed demonstrated that you
that's
could
right, and
turn
that's
much faster.
who knows why. It was all those tables
Probably
and
finish it in under 20
weren't shielded well or something.
Yeah, potentially. Pushing it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was DK Jungle Parkway.
I know it's changed a lot since we showed this too.
Yoshi Valley, and it will be short and
yeah, I mean that one's basically the same strategy, although more recently, 464 and I worked on some new ones for even that level.
So same thing, you can abuse a finish line glitch here by
this is kind of the same strategy too, just much more optimal.
Falling to the ground, and then the game thinks you've actually
in
finished the lap
at least.
when it puts you down. And now in time trials, you
this is one of those rare situations. Both these levels, I think, where the time trial task optimally would be faster than in 150cc.
Came up with back when I made this run. It's
time
a little
trials
slower, but I had to do it
run slower at 100cc, and GP you can get up to 150cc. But in time trials, you start with 3 mushrooms.
So
yes.
It's a little slower, as you saw, but I had to do that. Yeah. So
I love how fast that is.
The next one is you'll see some more standard racing. It's the Banshee Boardwalk.
And at the time, I didn't really understand exactly how some of these shortcuts work.
Any shortcuts, except that it does, as I'll demonstrate.
It doesn't have any shortcuts except that it does.
In GP, you have the advantage of other.
So there were shortcuts you didn't take advantage of?
Competing against, but sometimes you can use them.
There are no shortcuts in time trials, and nobody was aware of any shortcuts before. Not that anybody really had tried, right? But they weren't aware of any shortcut that existed on the level until this task.
So how do you feel like the real-time runner and tool-assisted speedrun runner symbiosis had developed by the point that we had shown this?
It depends on what frame you press the Z button to trigger.
How do I feel, sorry, by the point that we've shown this?
Yeah, but in 2014, did you feel like there was a good understanding that tool-assisted speedruns and real-time runs were able to key off of each other and benefit one another?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it was becoming clear to me that the experimentation you could do with the tasks would help RTA. At this stage, though, especially in 2007, the things I was tending to do just weren't viable in RTA. Like jumping off of a computer player that's driving around, it's just not, especially that particular jump, not something you're going to consistently do. But yeah, the better you understand the game, and then getting shortcuts, finding new shortcuts through the tool-assisted speedrunning, it's clearly something that benefits RTA, and then vice versa. So that I was better at tasking this game because I had speedrun it myself and gotten coaching from speedrunners on how to drive better.
Nice.
It's a very complicated game, honestly, to drive well. And if you look back at the people, Comical Flop and some others who who tasked it early on, they all kind of burned out early, like a race or two in part because how complicated the game is to drive well, but also in part because, ironically, Mushroom Cup is probably the hardest cup to task, and it's just the first one.
Why am I going backwards? Is it desync?
Nope.
No.
Which is, I think, the order that I made the tasks. The test cups was special cup first because you could do any percent, pretty sure. And then I think I did flower and star. I don't think I did mushroom until maybe last. I think because mushroom was very difficult. Mushroom's the first cup.
Yeah.
The green shell, however, lets you tumble forward.
That green shell was something I'm pretty sure Mark used that year, and that was a new thing. In RTA 150cc skips.
Was that discovered with the help of task tools?
Yeah, that was. So we knew that.
TASBot's IRC channel.
Okay.
Basically, we knew if you could get over that fence, people had jumped off of players to get down there, just to show like, hey, for whatever reason, you get put back behind the line, and then the lap counts. But I figured out how to do it quickly with and consistently with the green shells. So hitting it against the far wall and having kind of track along the wall, and you can just drive into it.
Mushroom Cup next. This one is a much newer run.
So right now, that's
Okay,
Micro 500 swapping to the Mushroom Cup.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, and I guess I was wrong about which ones I did first. Although maybe I had test cups of all 4 at this point. We just decided these 2. I can't really recall.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, and at this point we had a Delicat, the administrator of TASVideos.org, on a Zoom call or some kind of Skype call, I think, something like that, some kind of call remotely, and it made it so that it was a little bit harder to talk about the Mushroom Cup itself. But I remember that we were sitting in the room trying to work out what do we need to do, what did we need to what do we need to swap out. Like we were not very well rehearsed. We didn't fully understand what we needed to do here. So you can see all of us talking on the couch, trying to figure out what file are we running. Is there anything else we need to switch? And I'm over there trying to get tech's attention to make sure they knew we were. We were just not practiced.
But also, AGDQ in general was a little bit more seat of your pants kind of stuff. Because, for example, this year at AGDQ, which you and I were both at, but not at the same time.
Yeah, didn't overlap.
Somehow. But they had 2 different areas that were I don't know what you call them, sets, basically.
Yeah.
Right. So they had 2 couches and 2 sets of streaming. So they could go back and forth, and you could set up in one while the other one was still racing. We had to. I remember this. We had to like rush in and try to set up right after the prior run finished, and there was a lot to set up.
Yeah. It was actually stressful every single time I did it.
Right.
Oh, that one's fun. So this was
the
early on.
Crowd reactions, again, I said cozy, like they're right there, and everybody's kind of.
I see a young
It doesn't
Carl
sound the
Sagan
same,
right
though.
behind us. I see him sitting next to Tampa. There's all kinds of folks. I see Withheld. There's all kinds of folks just right there next to the couch.
Right. Yeah, the couch was just the front row.
Media Magnet is right. Setup really did stink in those earlier years. I'm very glad that they have the 2-stage setup. It makes it a lot less stressful. Oops.
Yeah, and they stay on schedule now, right? So I think because of that, in large part.
Just wouldn't try
Yeah.
a whole lot of that stuff if you were not doing tool-assisted speedrunning. So here, there's not really a shortcut on this course, honestly, but I do go ahead and manipulate 2 stars by turning around, getting into second place.
There
getting 2
is
stars.
now a shortcut on this course, so that's the fun part there. Moo
Moo
Farm was like the Moo Farm shortcut was always the beam. It's like it'd be
if you did that
the dream
in real
meme.
time, you would be
Yeah.
beyond-
Is that
It
is
just
that
seemed
shortcut now
impossible.
RTA viable?
It's I wouldn't say it's RTA viable.
Ah, okay.
No. In time trials, it can be done, but it requires pausing, and that's not permitted on the rankings. In GP, you can do it without pausing, but that's even less RTA viable.
So the times aren't really as optimal. Time trials is very.
Naldor commented, I remember watching this for the first time circa 2018 after discovering TASBot. It was something that was, fun, made no sense to me at the time. I know better now, and seeing it again is bringing back that level of wonder I had when I first watched this. And that's it, right? Because I'm watching this, I have played Mario Kart 64, and I cannot play it like this.
Because you can do things that are kind of.
And neither can I.
Yeah, no, I never will be able
A lot
to.
of the time when I was using a mushroom there, I was doing a tool-assisted only trick, and that is when you slide, if you oscillate the control stick left and right, every other frame, you actually get a slight boost in speed.
Oh gosh, that's not
I don't
human
even think
viable.
you could get any boost in speed if you tried that real time.
See, now I'm remembering another person I didn't mention, Xenos.
So
Was one of the
that's an
early
example where the game accepts
one of the
input,
early
obviously the
testers
system
of
accepts
Mario Kart
input, but you
64.
wouldn't try to do that in real time.
and he figured out that if you're sliding, moving your joystick back and forth constantly, your speed kept going up.
I went ahead and got in second to get a star there too.
That's why I call it a Xeno slide.
You'll see me get 2 more stars in
Nice.
this race while in first, but if you pay close attention on the bottom left, you'll see probably that I go into 8th for maybe 1 frame, and I use a boo. There we go. So I use the boo while I'm in 8th place, technically, because there's one polygon right there on the finish line that is mislabeled.
Yeah, and this is another course we still don't have, even in GP, a shortcut.
Wow.
There's several
just the little weird
that
tricks like what you're showing here.
If this run included...
Yeah, you can get an 8th place item, which is noteworthy. And you can argue that there is a shortcut, it's just an intended one, by going through the tunnel.
Stars when I can.
What frame rate does Mario Kart 64 run at? 20?
It's 30.
30? Okay.
The physics happen at 60 frames per second.
Oh, okay.
So internally, it's a 60 FPS game.
Right now where I'm
but you only can give input at 30 times a second.
Okay.
Flick back and forth as fast as possible.
Without modifying the code. Basically, you can force it to run at 60 FPS, but it runs at half speed.
It did.
It actually, so Calamari Desert has a intended shortcut.
But in multiplayer, it runs even slower.
The train, which I believe.
So they're putting even more lag frames on purpose to make it so that it feels like it's running the right pace.
Interesting.
They didn't put. Okay, they assume more lag frames, so they actually have more happen in between each input frame. I don't know if I'm describing that correctly, but if they didn't do that, it would feel like it runs very slow. Because, for example, DK Jungle Parkway 4-player runs like 10 frames a second.
Shoot off that shell, turn backwards,
and so it'd feel like it's running a third of the normal speed. But they adjust by putting basically a counter factor of 3.
I need to catch it, otherwise I'm stuck in here.
So you normally can't get out of that train area, right?
Because I got to try every single frame.
Yeah, you can't. There is a way to do it, but you need a mushroom.
Okay.
So we're
and
10 seconds from the
this is what.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. You need a mushroom, and you need to literally it's floating point decimal per site.
That's all part of the secret route, right?
Yeah, that was intended.
You have to land exactly on the. You have to collide with the fence exactly, floating point precision, on its position. And then there's like basically a logic issue. It's not sure whether to push you in or out of the fence and just lets you drive through.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what did it feel like watching that again?
64 found that. What's that?
What did it feel like watching that again 10 years later?
Yeah, you know what? It has been a very long time since I saw that. It's so I'm kind of enjoying a little bit more of looking on the right side of the screen and looking at us, right? Kind of remembering the experience of kind of doing this and preparing for it and not knowing what to do, and none of us really did. Right? We all look a lot younger over there too,
right? And I'm looking at my terrible posture. My neck looks terrible. Anyway. Clean shaven. I look so good.
Positioning to the camera was, it was tough to look good from there. But I mean, it was fun, and I appreciate that you all invited me into that. And I wasn't making the TASBot or making the other tasks. Of just kind of happen to choose a game that people enjoy, Mario Kart 64. It did end up being, when I finally finished that task and it got published, it actually got published and it was task of the year that year. So having gotten my outrun tasks rejected and my any percent tasks rejected, I finally got the first one I submitted that was accepted upon submission was task of the year.
It's incredible.
So
just shows you how much things have changed.
Yeah. Well, and that was, after a lot of effort. This was 2014, and it really motivated me to finish the task, to bring it all together. People obviously responded well to it. I got a lot of encouragement from Micro. He, helped me improve the Lua scripts that I was using. Or actually, you know what? All these tests were done on Mupin 0.5 or whatever that was. And I think Micro encouraged me to move to BizHawk. And Delicat made changes to BizHawk so that I felt more comfortable on it. I remember he made a comment like, "I'm accepting this change, and I'm literally we might as well call this the Weatherton modification, whatever it was that I wanted." I'm like, fine. But so Delicat was very interested in seeing a Mario Kart 64 TAS. Micro was as well, and they both, and they're not the only ones, but they both helped me literally with tools and encouragement. So it went in with one author, but I mean, my thanks list was not short because there were a lot of people that helped me.
I feel like that's the case for everything I've ever done under the TASBot banner, frankly. There's just simply so many different disciplines, and especially for Micro 500, who had that hardware ability, that hardware hackery, that I didn't have that skill set at all. I still only barely know what I'm doing. And having Micro 500 come in, make the NESBot work, and then subsequently, as you mentioned earlier, the following year we did 4 controllers, 4 different players, did all kinds of crazy things that just would never have been possible without Micro 500's help. So very thankful for Micro 500 for that. And he's done so many other things he did so many things in those early years. I don't know as if it would have been possible to show tool-assisted speedruns on real hardware without his efforts. The other device that we did use that year was from True, and that one was also a huge amount of effort, the SNES replay device. Although, admittedly, True's device did not necessarily work the first time we tried it, or the second, but the Micro 500's NESBot worked right out of the gate, so there's that. It's hard.
I will say that thing has pretty much always worked. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but only for 2 games. Mario 64 and Mario Kart 64. That's the only 2 games that works for.
Well, it depends on... so this is an emulation issue, right? So
no, it's actually more complicated than that. For things like Ocarina of Time, the issue is that the console's not deterministic. So there's nothing you can do on an emulator to make it more accurate. It will just never be good enough.
Ooh, I want to know more about that.
Yeah, right.
So is that like the way that it calculates the random numbers?
So for instance, getting a little off script a bit, but that's okay because this is so much fascinating stuff. And you can tell that I'm passionate about this kind of stuff because it's just so interesting to me. For Mario Kart 64 and Super Mario 64, the way that the controller was pulled was extraordinarily deterministic and very predictable. Although the emulation was so inaccurate at the time that you would end up with this weird situation that you can talk more about here in a second, that the time displayed in the emulator on the total screen right here differed from what it showed on the real console by several seconds, if I remember right, at the end of the full run, right?
I think it was... I don't think the time shown differed. I think the amount of time elapsed differed.
That might be accurate, yeah.
It was actually faster on console.
Yeah. Yeah, because lag frame handling,
and I think this is still the case. For whatever reason, load times are roughly double in emulator compared to the console.
It's just fascinating.
It seems like... I think that's consistent across a bunch of games, too. It's like... That seems like it literally could just change one line of code and get it more accurate, but... but yeah, it was just the load times that I recall. So I think it literally... The total time... because of the lag frames during loads, on emulator was longer.
Okay, it was total time, not displayed time. I stand corrected. Yeah. So having said that, we've got to the point where we do have more accurate emulators, but they're still not great. And even then, there are aspects of how the Nintendo 64 behaves, especially with other games like Ocarina of Time, that we'll never be able to overcome. For instance, with Ocarina of Time, when you're in Kakariko Forest, when you're anywhere near, Kokiri. When you're near any of the Kokiri, I said the wrong name. When you're in anywhere with the motes, the little dust mites that wander around the screen, those are going through a random function. And their position on screen will change from one playthrough to the next because it's not solely seeding entirely deterministically on one source, one seed that is being fed into the pseudo-random number generator, and it's also dealing with multiple clocks. and those multiple clocks introduce minor inconsistencies. That means that we were unable for Triforce Percent to show a tool-assisted speedrun of the setup because we simply couldn't get the deterministic behavior we needed out of it, even after we corrected for everything else and we sent button presses.
So that was
2
a
frames
recording?
at a time.
I thought that was live.
Yeah, it was live. We had a human do it. We had to have a human.
Oh, the setup was the human. Okay, and then
Yeah.
once you got to the point that you had like aced it, basically.
Yeah,
then
we
you
had to
could
do a
have-
human level ace in order to go any farther.
Oh, I
and
forgot about that.
yeah,
Yeah, and
right?
I wasn't there, but I watched that one. Yeah. I
So-
don't think I was there.
we've got Abney in the chat saying, "Hey, Weatherton."
Hey, Beck.
Nice.
Usually it's the other way around.
Usually it's the other way around.
I'm just saying hi to you. Yeah.
That's funny. And Abney, thanks for stopping by the stream. I appreciate it. So there's several questions I have, but I want to keep it short. I don't want to go off all night. I know it's later there on the East Coast for you, and frankly, I want to go eat. Out of the Mario Kart 64 presentation at AGDQ 2014, what did you leave the event feeling? What was the thing that kind of popped up in your mind as you left, the thing that has stuck with you over the years? What was that experience like for you?
I think the biggest thing for me out of this particular experience, so being on stream, right, was the crowd reaction. People, and there was good reaction in 2014 to a lot of games. I feel like there was a little bit more of a feeling of everyone's together and really reacting loudly so you could hear each other. But that told me that, hey, there's probably a pretty big interest in me doing this better, like getting this done. Whether it would be shown at a future one altogether, AGDQ altogether, or just to do it right. I mean, I had that crowd reaction sort of in the back of my mind, and then I had the friendship with Micro and sort of support from him to, hey, let me help you, right? Let me get you on better tools and get a script developed and everything. So specific, I guess, to, the Mario Kart 64, it was very motivating and encouraging from, again, the crowd. And I'm like, people will like this if I finish it. And I've got people who can help me do this better too.
Did we ever show all 4 cups?
I think there was one cup we never showed, because I think we showed, I don't know which one we showed the next year. I think we did show one more, and then we didn't show the 4th one. And the optimal ones have never been shown.
That's interesting. Do you have any plans to return to this game?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So the strategies are so different now since COVID. And since Forest 64 came into the scene, we have a better understanding of how everything works, and there's just better strategies. So it'd be much faster. I have worked with Forest on a few different courses, but we've both gotten busy in our own ways. So, yeah.
I don't have as much time for tasking either, but I did manage to make a new task last year. The first time in a long time, I finally made a task.
What game?
Thy Dungeon Man from Homestar Runner.
Is that a Flash task?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna need. There's a Flash game that I want to be able to task, and I need help getting that set up. So
it's easy. It's easy now. You set up load tasks and set up.
I remember it was literally. I think the only thing that worked was if you ran like a Windows XP virtual machine. This was like the last time I checked. So if it's actually easy now, then I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get your help later. But yeah, I do plan. I plan to go back. I mean, the thing about Mario Kart 64, this is the speedrunning community. It's got a long history of people retiring.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm done. I'm retiring, and invariably those people come back.
They always do.
There's no retiring really. In fact, there's one person, VAJ in particular, who's I mean, Abney, you probably have a count of how many, like a dozen times I feel like he's retired. But so I've never said I retire from Mario Kart 64 speedrunning, even though I haven't played recently. or tasking. It's always there, right? It's always something I want to come back to and improve on.
You're never going to guess what I have for you.
Hey, wait, is that Windows? Wait, what is this?
Gonna get this out of the way. Gonna get this out of the way. Gonna get this out of the way. Get all my notes out of the way.
It is Windows XP. All right, it looked like it probably was. But wait, is that still what's used for Flash tasking, or you just messing with it?
No.
Okay.
We have. I did use libtas, but I did it with Ruffle. So you just tell it to use the Ruffle Flash environment, and you wrap libtas around that, and you can make a tool-assisted speedrun of Flash games.
All right, I'm literally gonna have to connect with you later because there's one of the things that happened at I don't know if it was 2014, but it was at AGDQ. Is I showed Narbike to some people. This is this old phone game, Narbike. There's actually a sequel now called Narbike 2 that developer just released last month on Nintendo Switch.
Okay.
Go check out Narbike 2, GNAR Bike 2. It's a lot of fun, actually. But I got really good at that game. It was like a million plus downloads game, and I had the best times on the rankings on a number of courses.
All right.
And then ended up keeping track of it. That is the game that there's a Flash version that I want to see how far can you push that game.
Far. Probably pretty far.
Yeah.
So we're sitting at a Windows XP desktop, and in just a second we're going to launch a game, and astute viewers might already know what's going to happen next, but it's definitely kind of fun. Unfortunately, it happens so fast you can barely tell what happens.
Oh, it's Minecraft. It's really small on my screen. Okay, I made it much bigger just now. Okay.
That's it. That's it. That was the whole thing.
You don't need a task to get a 1 second Minesweeper easy.
We're not going to do that. We're going to do beginner 1 click, intermediate 1 click, and then finally expert with 3BV, I think is what it's called. So we are going to walk through all 3 and get the fastest possible time on all 3.
Okay.
But we can move the mouse every 4 frames. The input log looks hilarious. Input editor in this is actually quite nice, and it allows us to, you can see the actual button presses that are happening here. We click, we move, 4 frames later, we click again, and we're running at 100 frames a second.
So yeah, what's limiting it to 100 frames per second? Is that Minesweeper or Windows XP?
That is the agreed upon configuration. We've set the monitor at 100 frames. We've set the emulator. The mouse is a PS2 mouse that is interrupting every single time. By the way, if you have a PS2 mouse and you're booting Windows XP and you're moving your mouse around, it will boot slower because you're interrupting it.
Wow.
Right? We did work out how to get the jumps to work. One of the interesting things about this, just to toss this out here, we needed to move from the center of the screen, 0, 0 is the relative center of the screen, to relative -50, -100, so on and so forth. We couldn't jump directly from the center of the screen 200 over and 11 up because it was too much of a jump in one. So we had to graduate it. So 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. So we walked our way over, but then from that moment on, we were able to move all around this board and make it, we could go anywhere on this board without having to worry about how many, what the distance was. We could do it in 1 frame. So you'll see that we're jumping from like -233 to -167 in just 1 jump right here. So anyway, we had to figure all this stuff out on the last stream. It was kind of fun. Anyway, yeah, we do have Ruffle. I might even be able to potentially, yeah, I know, I closed the game. I might even have, let's see, Ruffle. Did I do it on here? I don't think I did it on this system. It does not look like I did. Nope. I did not. I was playing around with other things, but I did not do it. Now, the next thing we're going to be doing is Diablo. We want to make a tool-assisted speedrun of Diablo in Windows XP. That was never my game, but Funkmaster MP is amazing at it. Okay. I'm going to pull this back up. Were there any other aspects about this run that you wanted to talk through or comment about before we move away from the interview segment?
I can't think of anything.
So did I hear you say that you might return to making a tool-assisted speedrun?
Oh yeah, it's always there hasn't been more than a few months that go by that I'm not done something. Really, it's not like I just don't do it. It's just a matter of, as you said, time. So I'll share. I happen to be working on my doctorate right now, and I'm in the write a big paper phase, and I'm doing my praxis. It's called on detecting cheating in video games.
Oh wow!
So I figured it would be a good. Yeah, I have relevant skills with the tasking. It's like, hey, if somebody's using tools, I should be able to identify that. I have some ways to do that. So
I'm looking forward to that. That's actually something that's worthwhile.
Trying to find something that I could stay interested in for a year, which is how long I need to be writing this thing.
And you're just now starting?
Yeah, I'm about a month and a half in, out of a little bit under a year. So, but with that going on, last year I had to be taking courses, and I just had no time, pretty much. This year, it's a little less structured because I kind of define my schedule. And, hey, when am I going to work on certain things? So I could probably fit some things in, but realistically, this year's kind of busy too. And like you, I've got kids, and there's that going on.
Having
as well.
kids
So
is that's one of
get
the reasons
busier.
I need to wrap up here soon because I need to get home to my kids. By the way, I'm noticing that I'm watching myself in this run. I've got my mic on. I'm there on the couch, but then something happens. Like right here, I start doing some weird, and then I just leave. Like, what the heck, man? I just, and you can see me running.
Yeah, wait, did you have a mic anymore? Like, it looked like it was gone.
That's right there. I gotta back up and see this again. Yeah, okay, so I'm here. Okay, I'm not there. Okay, so somewhere right around here. Yeah, and I'm sitting there with the mic, and then suddenly I get kind of uncomfortable. I have a really weird look on my face. You can see I'm like, I put it on the couch.
Are you kind of thinking about what's the next game going to be?
No, I think I was running over to convince them I wanted to try Gradius again. I just can't believe I ran through the audience.
Oh, you really? That was you back there.
That was me. I ran through the audience.
Oh, man.
I can't imagine abandoning the stage. I only saw a couple.
But it didn't feel like a stage. We weren't any different level than anyone else.
That's right. Yeah, it was.
That's the funny thing. It was just another row that happened to be a couch pulled out of a room.
Right. Yeah.
And do you remember maybe it wasn't the case in 2014, but the lights they had, I thought we were going to burn the place down.
They were bright.
They were hot. There was just like heat waves and smoke almost emanating from those lights. I probably have some pictures of it. But
they were massive halogen lights, I think, and they were really pumping out some heat.
They were not LEDs. Yes, they were burning something in a vacuum.
AGDQ 2014, I mean, they were using technology from 2013. We didn't exactly have a lot of LED penetration by that point. They weren't nearly as common. I take so much for granted. You were talking about how you were setting all this up and talking to people over AOL Instant Messenger. You're talking over AIM? This was a completely different era.
Just thinking back to the very earliest, I was looking at some of my private messages here on TAS videos, and it was like, I literally have a private message that says, "Get on AIM now." It was, to me, that's what it said. I'm trying to find that one.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it's like, get on AIM now. That is exactly what it said. That was from Kaiman. Who is still, well, I don't know if I'd say still, but very recently was involved in speedrunning Mario Kart 64. And this was a message from 2010 from him. I have no idea what we were talking about. Fake item boxes we were talking about. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's been so many people over the years and so many different technologies, but it's all kind of the same end, right? It's
who here remembers their ICQ number? I remember mine. I still have it memorized.
I don't even. It wasn't one that I used often.
That's funny, and that was what was interesting. It was so siloed at the time. Like everyone had a different.
Yeah,
Vandalite's got his number memorized. Mine was.
Wasn't there trillion or something where you could kind of have them all together? Yeah, somebody said trillion.
Yeah.
I think you could just combine them all on that.
I'm reappearing. I ran back through the audience, and then just sneak. I'm gonna sidle back onto the couch like everything is normal, nothing is weird.
So you remind me of another. So I didn't run off the stage, but I did something a little bit akin to that with Mark Jones's run. So literally, I don't know, minutes, certainly not days ahead of time. I requested that we add a bonus incentive for Mario Kart 64 that if there was $10,000 raised, that Mark would run the extra in reverse. Yeah, he'd run Toad's Turnpike in reverse. And I'm sorry, I forget the gentleman who basically started AGDQ.
Mike Uyama?
Yes, Mike Uyama. So it was him I was speaking with. And he looked at me, even at the time, he looked at me, he's like, I don't think you understand how bonus incentives work. Like, he was basically like, you shouldn't just be adding them, but they still added it, even after that response. And it was met during the run. Like, somebody put like thousands of dollars towards it. I remember this. We could go look at but yeah, you could not just get a bonus incentive added, a couple hours before the run now.
No, trust me.
Different time.
The GDQ is far more strict. They're so strict that I find ESA a lot less strict these days.
Yeah.
It's a totally different time. Would you go to a Games Done Quick or other charity event live and present again?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and again, had the opportunity to go, and I was commentating Mario Kart 64 run this 2024. So I'd definitely go again. The challenge, it was in Florida for a couple of years. That's a hike.
That's a hike.
For me, when it was in Pennsylvania, I literally brought my whole family, and we kind of made a trip out of it. So it's the logistics of not just being me, right? Figuring out how to work that one. Is this supposed to be in Pennsylvania?
No idea. They haven't announced. We'll find out.
Okay.
Almost certainly at the conclusion of Summer Games Done Quick, if everything goes to plan, they will almost certainly announce the location of AGDQ and probably the dates as well. Typically, that's what they do. So. Okay.
Yeah. So be curious if they do that again. I think they certainly had plenty of room. Because that was the first time I'm aware of, at least, where they didn't sell out the on-site.
Yeah.
There was one year, it wasn't this year, there was one year that I just didn't get on it quick enough, and I didn't get myself a badge in time, and they sold out.
Yeah, they did not sell out this year. And I think a lot of it is because Pittsburgh in the winter is, I won't say
we were literally stuck in the hotel, and I spent like $100 on food from the lobby.
It was cold.
It was not, okay. Yeah, that might have been part of the reason.
Yeah.
But I remember one of the years I was trying to contribute, I'll say, to the TASBot, whatever the TASBot was that year, and I was not permitted to go on stream because I didn't have a badge. I was permitted to like walk through and go help.
Yeah.
But when it came time to go on stream, since I didn't have a badge, they didn't let me on there. So
yeah, they are. It's interesting because sometimes they'll be loose about it, but for the most part, in the last several years, they've just been very, very strict with very few compromises, which I can understand. They're trying to do the event proper, but that's one of the reasons that we did SmashBot at ESA is because we knew that was not going to fit there. They made it pretty clear that it was outside of what they specifically wanted to do, and it's okay. GDQ is the biggest player on the block, and they have a specific format that they want to stick to, and that's all right. But I do love the experimentation of this. I would still love to see you finish up some improvements to Mario Kart 64 and have us show it properly. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would. That would be neat to maybe have that be where it's shown for the first time potentially.
Well, any last comments about what we did at AGDQ 2014?
I can't. It'd be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice to talk about some of the other years at some point.
I'll be bringing you back in.
This one, it was just very spur of the moment for me. I didn't know that you all would be there. I didn't know there was this TASBot thing. I knew about. I should say this. I knew about the fact that there had been console verifications happening, basically. And I thought that was really cool. It added credibility to what I was doing. It's like, yes, I'm playing the same game, right? It could play back theoretically on the console. To then have it actually play back on the console and to a crowd and have a very positive response was, again, just sort of further validating the hobby to me.
Absolutely.
So it was a great experience.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you chatting about what you did at AGDQ 2014. I really appreciate the time you took out of your day to chat with me. Thanks so much for that.
Thank you. Yeah, really appreciate the opportunity to connect and all the work you've done with TASBot. And yeah, so hope to collaborate again.
Awesome. Normally I would raid. I don't actually have any raid targets lined up, and this is a shorter stream tonight because I had some setup to do to get prepared for the interview. So I'm gonna disconnect for now, but I'll probably be back tomorrow with more Minesweeper or possibly even Diablo action, and I will catch everyone on stream later. No raid today, so just go wherever you like. Take care, guys, and I will see you later.